Dear students, good morning. This is the class for March 17th, 2020. So today we're going to continue with vowels, and before we do that, let's look at what I said yesterday. So we were working on vowel sounds, and we said that usually African Englishes, but also other post-colonial Englishes, do not have long vowels, okay? In English, in British English, there is a difference between this sound, that is I, and E. Like the difference between the words sit and seat. These words are both pronounced it, sit, and sit, more or less, in post-colonial Englishes. Same thing happens with the sound a. The word staff, or American English staff, is closer to stuff for an outsider. Next step, we talked about the schwa sound, okay, which, for instance, in British English is the sound like the word matter. This is closer to an open A in African Englishes. So a word like mata would be pronounced mata, more or less. Remember that the schwa sound is also that sound that we find in Neapolitan, mamata, okay, that sound at the end. Again, with vowels, where there are diphthongs, those two vowel sounds one next to the other that blend together, those become monophthongs in English, in other post-colonial varieties of English. So a word like take is closer to tick, okay? So the longer vowel becomes shorter vowels. Yesterday we focused on Malaysian English, okay? We watched some videos about typical questions, phrases that you can use, like can I tapau this? Can I have this take away? Or how Manglish mixes English with local varieties, with local words. Okay, okay la, okay me, or see how derive from a mixture, a blend between English and local languages. We also watched these 3 videos that included a more thorough explanation about exclamations like la, way, and a, okay? And we said that in Malaysian English, la is used at the end of a sentence to assure something. Like, don't worry, la, it's going to be fine. Or if I want to convey an emotional aspect about what I'm saying, I can add we at the end of the sentence. Damn boring we. Or there's also a that can be used for several purposes. In this video, he focuses on the usage of a for a question, at the end of a question. So where are we going a? Obviously, listen to the videos because it's the only way that you can hear and you can listen to these accents. Then, one of the videos we studied focuses on the use of can followed by other elements. Can gua indicated that probably this person does not have the ability to do something. Can, with the reinforcement, with the double can, gives the person certainty that you're going to do something for them. at least you have the capability, the ability to do it. And then kan vara if somebody does something impressive. And then, to conclude that class, we watched a video from an Indian English speaker who wanted to teach British and American accent. So it's usually the videos that we're watching are British and American people who explain post-colonial varieties of English. In this case, it's the opposite, okay? Now, as for today, we're going to watch a series of videos about African accents, and more specifically about varieties of English that are spoken in Ghana and Nigeria. This first video over here is about how to speak perfect African accent. This woman gives us some insight into how to sound more African. Okay, her children attend a British school, as far as I know, and she tries to teach them African accent. Everything starts from this meme where there's a character that says this sentence: do you know the way, in an African accent. Do you know the way, more or less. Starting from this meme, she tries to give us some insight into how to speak with an African accent. She is not a linguist, but she gives us a general idea. So please pause the video now and go to the first link that I'm going to indicate in the comment box. The video lasts 13 minutes, so get the main points from it. Okay, so what are the main points that she highlights? First thing, deep voice. Okay. Point number 2, separate words. Again, she's not a linguist. She's trying to explain it from what she hears. So separate words. When you're saying a sentence with an African accent, nothing blends together. It has to be separate. Do you know the way? Plus, it's as if you had to pronounce every single letter. Okay? She gives you the example of nationality that becomes nationality. And that referred to African accents in general. Now, more specifically, I want you to watch this second video that compares Ghana and Nigeria accents. So please pause the video and watch link number 2. Okay, so that video was 4 minutes, and it gives you a general idea of the differences. You might have noticed that for Nigerian accent, the word bus is closer to bus. Okay? like the word boss, B-O-S-S. Same thing happens with the word church. That becomes closer to church. While the Ghanaian accent is closer to, let's say, an inner circle English, Nigerian accent changes the words quite a lot. So church becomes church, bus becomes boss, good luck becomes good luck. Okay, they play around with the thing that, is it L-U-C-K, is it L-O-C-K, locking up somebody, or just luck, like fortune. And the same thing happens with bus and boss. If you remember, the Nigerian person says, well, how do you get it? I understand it from context. It's context that gives you the idea of whether you're talking about a bus or a boss. Okay, a luck or a lock. Also, I want you to focus to notice the fact that they say proper English. Okay? And that is a dilemma that we're going to talk about several times during this course, on whether there is something that can be said to be proper English. Now, I want you to watch this third video. Again, it's Nigerian accent versus Ghanaian accent. But before we go here, it is quite a long video. It's 15 minutes, but it's divided into two parts. There is a part about pronunciation, and then a little, you see the title says plus jollof war. What is this? Well, some of you might be learning African languages, so they already know. But at the end of the video, they're going to talk about jollof rice. As we can read from here, jollof rice traditionally consists of rice, cooking oil, vegetables such as tomatoes, onions, red pepper, garlic, ginger, and scotch bonnet. To enhance the color of the dish, tomato paste or puree is added. As seasoning spices, salt, seasoning stock cubes, il dado più o meno con qualcosa in più dentro, curry powder, and dried thyme are used. To complement the dish, red and white meats like chicken, turkey, and beef or fish are often served with the dish. Okay, so it's a very spicy dish. It's got, well, without getting too much into details, there has always been rivalry between Nigeria and Ghana about this dish. Okay? It's actually called a jollof war between these two countries. So what does the Nigerian variety use? It uses long grain, parboiled rice, tomatoes, tomato paste, pepper, vegetable oil, onions, and stock cubes. And on the coast, lots of seafood. As for the Ghanaian jollof rice, it's made with vegetable oil, onion, bell peppers, cloves of pressed garlic, tomato paste, and beef or more likely goat meat or chicken with basmati rice. Okay, So the ingredients are a little different, and these two populations both say that they have the best jollof rice. So sorry for the tangent, but let's go back to where we were. Please pause this video and watch the next link. Okay, so by now I think you got that there is a pattern. I hope you found the pattern in what goes on with a Nigerian accent. And it is generally speaking that vowels are closer to an O sound. Okay? Bus, bus, curtain, 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 actually. Or the difference here with Nigerian accent can be heard in the word work. That becomes werk in Nigerian accent. Or when Nigerian accent says dotte and without pronouncing the CT sound. Again, remember that I don't want you to memorize every single pattern, every single word. No. Just focus on what you're more interested in. Now, grammar. So far we talked about sounds. We talked about consonants. We talked about vowels. What happens with grammar? Well, you can guess that there's lots of simplification going on. First thing that is simplified is the usage of plural forms. Generally speaking, these new Englishes have a tendency not to mark nouns for their plural. What does this mean? That sentences or phrases do not use the plural forms. In India, you can hear something, your book gives you a couple of examples. In India, you can hear things like up to 12 year of schooling. Okay, so they don't put the S in the word years. Or in Jamaica, in this case from Jamaica, and they know all four dialects instead of dialects. Filipino, there's a typo there, sorry for that, we'll change it. Filipino is only one of the subject, obviously from the Philippines. Okay, so they usually don't mark the plural form. Second aspect that is simplified. There is a tendency to use a specific or non-specific system for nouns instead of using definite and indefinite articles. Or they use them together. What does this mean? Specific and non-specific. In this case from Indian English, everyone has car. In this case, instead of using the definite versus indefinite systems, meaning instead of saying everyone has a car, they use the non-specific car without the indefinite pronoun. Same thing happens in East Africa. I'm not on scholarship. I'm not on a scholarship. Okay, they just drop the indefinite article. Or when they want to be specific, they can use some pronouns, they can use some items, some elements. Like mostly, the word that is used the most is one. For instance, I'm staying in one house with 3 other. That one is replacing a. Okay? Or with Singaporean English, there. Here got one stall selling soup noodles. Okay, instead of using a stall, the stall, they use the word one to be specific. So they either don't specify it at all, everyone has car, or if they want to specify it, they use something that is not a definite or an indefinite article. For instance, one. Another aspect that often occurs is that there's a tendency to change the form of quantifiers. What does this mean? Let's say that when these varieties use quantifiers, much, many, some, few, little, and so on, they use them in a way that is different from inner circle Englishes. Okay? In Singapore, you can hear something like, don't eat so much sweets. Okay, instead of saying many sweets or a lot of sweets. Or there's a combination, like some few fishermen may be seen. Okay, this case was from West African. Or I applied a couple of places in Australia for India. So as you can see, these quantifiers are used in a totally different way from how they would be used in the inner circle Englishes. As you can see, I'm paying attention to my words because I'm saying different and not correct or incorrect. This does not mean that you can write something like much sweets for your exam. Absolutely not. And we'll go back to why. Okay, remember, this is something that we talked about during the first classes that we had at Orientale. But anyway, another characteristic of these languages is that they tend not to make a distinction between the third person pronouns he and she. So, for some speakers, it is okay to say, when I first met my husband, she was a student, even if they were talking about a male person. Or, my mother, he lived in Kampong. Okay, where Kampong in Malaysian means a small settlement. And last aspect, there is a tendency to change the word order within a noun phrase. Okay, so you would change the word order. And here's something like a 2-hour exciting display from Ghana. Or this 2 last years for Papua New Guinea. Or 90 over checks, Singapore, Malaysia. And we'll stop here for today. Because the videos are pretty long. So what did we do today? We focused this time on African Englishes and how to get an African accent in general with this first video. Then, more specifically, we focused on the differences between Ghanaian English and Nigerian English. Okay, let's say that the example bus that becomes boss for Nigerian English accent is the key to understanding all these videos that we watched. We focused on their idea, their perception of proper English. Okay, when a person says proper English, when the girls say proper English, this means that there is a lot behind those two words. We learned a little about other words with this second video and the Jollafor. And then grammar, we looked at how grammar is generally speaking simplified. So there's no mark for plural. Or they don't use definite, indefinite system before nouns, but a specific, non-specific system. So they either just not put the indefinite article at all, or they replace it with something more specific like one or this. There are also some aspects that might be considered incorrect in inner circle Englishes, like the tendency to change the forms of quantifiers, much sweets, or not give the distinction between the third person pronouns he and she. Okay, and there also might be some changes in the word order within a noun phrase. Okay, so that's enough for this part. Then today's song is a little long, so the lost Saskatchewan. I have no idea how to pronounce this word. I tried and I tried, but I just can't. This song from the Arrogant Words, please forgive me for whoever sent me this link. And so I'll read the lyrics. I used to be a farmer, and I made a living fine. I had a little stretch of land along the CP line. But times were hard, and though I tried, the money wasn't there, and the bankers came and took my land and told me fair is fair. I looked for every kind of job, the answer always no. Hire you now? They'd always laugh. We just let 20 go. The government, they promised me a measly little sum, but I've got too much pride to end up just another bum. Then I thought, who gives a damn if all the jobs are gone? I'm gonna be a pirate on the river Saskatchewan. And it's a heavy-ho, hi-ho coming down the plains, stealing wheat and barley and all the other grains. It's a ho-he, hi-he, farmer's bar your doors, when you see the Jolly Roger on Regina Mine's shores. Well, you'd think the local farmers would know that I'm at large, but just the other day I found an unprotected barge. I snuck up right behind them, and they were none the wiser. I rammed their ship and sank it, and I stole their fertilizer. A bridge outside of Moose Jaw spans a mighty river. Farmers cross in so much fear, their stomachs are a quiver. 'Cause they know that Tractor Jack is hiding in the bay. I'll jump the bridge and knock them cold and sail off with their hay. And it's heave-ho, hi-ho, coming down the plains, stealing wheat and barley and all the other grains. It's a ho-he, hi-he, farmers' bars yet doors, when you see the Jolly Roger on Regina's mighty shores. Well, Mountie Rob, he chased me. He was always at my throat. He followed the shoreline, 'cause he didn't own a boat. But cutbacks were coming, and the Mountie lost his job. So now he's sailing with us, and we'll call him Salty Bob. A swinging sword, a skull and bones, and pleasant company. I never pay my income tax, and screw the GST. Screw it. Sailing down the Saskatoon, the terror of the seas. If you want to reach the co-op, boy, you gotta get by me. 'Cause it's a hi-ho coming down the plains, stealing wheat and barley and all the other grains. It's a ho-he, hi-he, farmers' bars yet doors, when you see the Jolly Rogers on Regina's mighty shores. Okay, then there's some spoken parts. Well, pirates' life's appealing. but you just don't find it here. I hear in North Alberta there's a band of buccaneers. They roam the Athabasca from Smith to Fort McKay, and you're gonna lose your Stetson if you have to pass their way. Well, winter is a-coming, and a chill is in the breeze. My pirate days are over once the river starts to freeze. I'll be back in springtime, but now I have to go. I hear there's lots of plundering down in New Mexico, 'cause it's heave-ho, hi-ho coming down the plains, stealing wheat and barley and all the other grains. It's a ho-he, farmers bar your doors, when you see the Jolly Roger on Regina's mighty shores. Pretty long but cute, nice rhymes. Okay, so now please go to the video that the link that I'm going to post in the comments. And okay, so that's all for this week. Thank you very much and see you on Monday. Have a nice week.